When
So
Duck in the
Queen
Popsicle.
Latifah was on Diddy's back.
No, Diddy was on Queen Latifah's back.
They was naked?
No, like horse playing through like the party, like you just horse playing, like having fun. That's when I remember.
You know, but that was like my brother, and he would like, he's the type of person I would like, if he loved you, if he was cool with you, he'd lay his life down for you.
He Diddy be wanting to party, and you gotta tell him no. You got to tell him no.
Katt Williams tried to put us on game about Queen Latifah, and now the shocking truth about her ties to Diddy is finally spilling out for the whole world to see. While everyone in the industry is panicking and cutting ties to avoid the scandal mess, Queen Latifah kept her lips sealed. No statements, no explanations, just straight up silence. But why are folks whispering Queen Latifah's name in the same breath as Diddy's wild cover-up? And how deep do these Hollywood secrets really go? This was never just about some casual friendship. It's about the crazy price of power and how Queen Latifah might have helped keep certain dirty secrets locked away. Let's really dig in. Way before she became America's beloved talk show queen and red carpet superstar, she was Dana Owens, that tough girl straight out of Newark, New Jersey, who owned her spot in a rap game full of dudes. She wasn't just rolling with hip-hop in the 90s, she was helping shape it. Her debut album, All Hail the Queen, was bold as hell, loud, proud, and black to the core. Her track UNITY wasn't just some catchy song, it was a whole movement, a big shout to respect and strength. She came off powerful, unique, like nobody could touch her. But as time went by, her Hollywood grind started telling a different story. She jumped into sitcoms that made her image sweeter, grabbed movie roles that cleaned her up, and behind the cameras, she started moving in some unexpected circles that would leave even her die-hard fans shook. And guess who kept popping up in those private scenes? Sean Diddy Combs. Out in the open, they didn't look close. No songs together, no drama, nothing. Just two heavyweights in hip-hop doing their own thing. But insiders say the real story is way more twisted than anyone imagined. At the peak of Diddy's wild empire, when Bad Boy Records was running the whole game, and his legendary parties were pulling in all the biggest stars, plus some folks who had no clue they'd end up victims, Queen Latifah wasn't just chilling on the sidelines. Nah, she was there, respected, and always on the guest list. Word on the street, unconfirmed but steady buzzing, is that she wasn't just vibing as a random party guest. She was deep in the inner circle that really knew what was going down behind those velvet ropes. That's exactly why fans are side-eyeing her hard now. While folks like Usher, Cassie, and even the big boss Clive Davis got tangled up in Diddy's mess and had to come out swinging with statements, Queen Latifah stayed real quiet. Not one peep. When people ask her about it, she just says, "No comment." Katt didn't throw Queen Latifah's name straight under the bus in that explosive Club Shay Shay interview with Shannon Sharpe, but he dropped hints. He made it crystal clear that some of these so-called clean celebs are actually knee-deep in the same dark Hollywood games they act like they're against. If you really watch how Latifah moved during Diddy's prime era, it gets real interesting. Starting in the early 2000s, she flipped her whole image. She went from hardcore rap queen to Hollywood darling, from Set It Off to Chicago, then to funny family flicks and award-winning biopics. She became everybody's favorite safe star. She turned into a money-making, family-approved brand, and sitting right in the middle of that glow-up, her growing ties with big industry shot-callers. Folks like Clive Davis, the same Clive who mentored Alicia Keys, Whitney Houston, and, yeah.
The people that I know in this game are very intelligent. The Jay-Z's, of the world, they don't just get there by being dummies, you know what I mean? Even if they started out in the streets, they had sense in them.
Diddy himself. So here's the real question. Was Latifah's silence a strategy? Was she staying hush-hush as part of some unspoken deal? While she stayed away from drama, she was stacking up her own empire. Instead of calling out the madness, she was cashing checks, building a talk show, and making herself untouchable. Beauty deals, big Netflix bags, and a glow-up on some straight-up Oprah-level vibes. Queen Latifah was flying high. But then, boom. Old clips, blurry photos, and secret footage from Diddy's private bashes started popping up everywhere. Now, that same footage is turning into evidence for serious lawsuits, and folks are spotting faces they never expected. One of the biggest shockers? Queen Latifah's name getting whispered by internet detectives and YouTube deep divers. Ain't no official receipts yet, but the question got people talking. If she saw what really went down, why didn't she say something? And if she didn't see, why is she still playing quiet now? Whether she stayed silent to keep herself safe or to keep her seat at the big table, her hush-hush role during hip-hop's darkest chapters is starting to look real shady.
No, she never came out officially.
Oh, she's
And that's
never
the good-
said it. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, that's the good thing about it. You don't know about it until it come out of my mouth. So she never came out officially.
While Diddy's whole empire is falling apart in the headlines, from wild federal raids to bombshell lawsuits, Queen Latifah's name stays missing. Not in the legal files, nah, but she hasn't dropped one single statement. And for someone who built her brand on being a voice of the people, that quiet is starting to scream louder than anything she could ever say. Back in the 90s, Dana Owens was a true rebel. She clapped back at misogyny and rap, flipped the media stereotypes on their head, and rocked her Afrocentric crowns like a queen. She was out here side by side with legends like Tupac, Naughty by Nature, and Heavy D. Nobody questioned her street respect. She was untouchable. But the second she dipped into Hollywood, something switched up big time. In 1993, she hit the big screen in Jungle Fever. Soon after, she started that big move from fierce MC to full-on actress, from loud and raw to polished and in demand. By 1999, she was running the Queen Latifah Show, a daytime talk show that only lasted 2 seasons but set the stage for her big media glow-up. What most folks don't realize is that this move wasn't just random or by accident. It was all part of a bigger play, a pivot that didn't happen out of nowhere. This whole transformation didn't happen in a vacuum. It went down right when the industry was busy, grooming certain artists to ditch that raw hip-hop edge and slide into the corporate-approved elite squad. At that same moment, Clive Davis was busy turning folks into R&B sweethearts, and Queen Latifah was getting repackaged into this squeaky clean, money-friendly mainstream powerhouse. But behind all that shiny success, there was always a price tag. Queen Latifah started raking in those big production deals, high-dollar cover girl endorsements, and goofy romantic comedy scripts. Meanwhile, other black women who kept it too real and refused to play the game got shut out. Look at Jaguar Wright or Lauryn Hill. They spoke up, they challenged the big dogs, and the industry hit them with that cold shoulder. Even bold rappers like Lil' Kim and Foxy Brown were getting blackballed left and right while Latifah's Hollywood bookings stayed coming in strong. It wasn't about Latifah lacking talent, nah. The difference was she wasn't seen as a threat, or at least that's how they painted her to the public. And a lot of folks believe that this safe packaging came with serious strings attached. By 2006, she was starring in Last Holiday, a PG family flick that was miles away from her street queen roots. That same year, Diddy was catching heavy accusations, folks saying he used his wild parties to scare witnesses in the Kim Porter situation.
P. Diddy actually put his hands on Cassie for Queen Latifah to come out and say anything. You don't think there's a lot of celebrities in the industry that were waiting to say something, right? But they're waiting for confirmation. They're waiting for actual evidence to be put out.
But funny enough, nobody was checking for Queen Latifah's opinion. Why would they? She had already been crowned the queen of no scandal allowed. She had fully transformed from hip-hop royalty to straight-up media royalty. And like so many who came before her, she knew that golden rule. If you want to keep your spot, you better keep your mouth shut. Even when Katt Williams came through with that Club Shay Shay bombshell, hinting that a bunch of beloved black stars knew the real dirt but chose silence, Queen Latifah didn't blink. She didn't hop on Twitter, she didn't show up at the Breakfast Club to clear the air. She just kept her head down, locked in her schedule, and protected that brand like her life depended on it. But for fans keeping their eyes glued to this crazy story, Queen Latifah's silence don't look so neutral anymore. Because if she really stands on unity, sisterhood, and accountability, the same values she used to build her whole brand, then how can she stay so quiet? While young black men and women are finally stepping up, talking about abuse, manipulation, and big-time cover-ups connected to her old crew, her silence is starting to scream louder than ever. It ain't even about Queen Latifah doing something directly foul. It's about her possibly seeing some dark stuff and choosing to look the other way. What really makes this Queen Latifah and Diddy saga hit different is how low-key she's kept everything all these years. Before Diddy's whole legal mess exploded, Latifah never bragged about being close to him. To most fans, that silence isn't just about staying chill. It feels like she knew way more than she ever let slip. Like she decided to keep that vault locked tight. Folks been whispering, wondering, did Queen Latifah really know about the storms Diddy was stirring up behind closed doors? Some say she was all the way in the loop but picked loyalty over chaos, silence over making front-page headlines. Decades in this game teach you one major rule: some secrets are better left in the dark. At 54, Latifah started dropping little hints here and there about personal fears she never put out there before. Nothing is fully confirmed. She stays leaving folks guessing. But you can just feel it. She's got that pro-level skill of keeping her public image all shiny and sweet while juggling a mess of hidden connections in the background. Her silence ain't just some casual, no-comment move. It's a heavy-duty shield. A shield that might be protecting her own legacy, maybe covering for Diddy, and maybe keeping some dark secrets buried for good. The world's just now starting to get a peek behind the curtain. When Diddy's trial lit up the headlines, it felt like somebody dropped a bomb in the middle of the music and entertainment world. Everybody was shook. Twitter went crazy. News stations couldn't stop talking, and the streets were lit with non-stop chatter. But here's the real kicker. While everybody was laser-focused on Diddy, the shockwaves didn't stop with him. Nope. The fallout spread way beyond, shaking up his whole squad of friends, business partners, and day-one riders. One of the biggest names to get caught in the mix? Queen Latifah. Now here's the thing about Queen Latifah. She always been that low-key friend. The type who don't gotta broadcast who she stands by. She never flexed her loyalty for likes, never threw her friendships in the spotlight, never tried to spin it into some big public story. But after Diddy's courtroom chaos, that quiet started to feel different. Heavy, suspicious, like there was a whole story hiding in the silence. Folks started questioning, was she staying silent because she knew way more than she let on? Was she standing behind Diddy even after knowing all that dirt and mess swirling underneath the surface? See, that trial wasn't just another celebrity legal drama. It was like tearing down the velvet rope and exposing all the twisted layers of power, shady deals, secret loyalty pacts, and the deep betrayals only insiders really knew. Wild truths started popping up about what really went down behind Diddy's empire. Backroom deals, crazy fallouts, fake alliances, and people getting played left and right. Now, don't get it twisted. There ain't no smoking gun tying Queen Latifah to anything illegal or dirty. Nobody's got hard proof to point a finger at her and say she was part of the mess. But her rock-solid silence, her steady presence holding it down in Diddy's corner while the whole world went up in flames, that got folks scratching their heads. People can't help but wonder, was she really out here protecting him like a true ride or die? Or was that silence her way of shielding herself while keeping those secrets buried deep? Or was Queen Latifah just tangled up in a messy web where the only real move left was silence? Because let's be real, friendships in this industry ain't ever simple. It's a wild mix of loyalty, trust, survival, and protecting your bag at all costs. You gotta tiptoe that tightrope when your whole life is on blast, haters lurking in the shadows, and every tiny move gets picked apart by the world. Queen Latifah's silence ain't just her playing it safe. Nah, it's a heavy message in itself. It's like she's saying, I'm in this for life, no matter what storms come crashing through, no matter what rumors hit the blogs. And now, with the trial verdict out and the whole world watching, her silence is booming louder than an air horn. It's that eerie calm before the next hurricane, making everybody lean in, waiting for the next twist to drop. Was Queen Latifah just that super loyal friend holding her boy down no matter what? Or is there a deep hidden story we still ain't heard yet? That's exactly what makes this whole saga so addictive. 'Cause when a giant like Diddy's empire is burning down live for everyone to see, what move do you make if you're Queen Latifah? Do you dip and protect your image? Or do you stay right there, silent, standing firm like a ride or die, defending a bond that goes way deeper than any headline? Her choice to keep her lips sealed said a lot without saying a word. And now the streets, the fans, and the whole industry got their eyes locked on her every move. Folks started clocking that Queen Latifah always went ghost when Hollywood got messy. And you know who definitely peeped that? Katt Williams. While Latifah was busy leveling up as a rapper, actress, and talk show host, Katt was out here putting it all on the line, calling out shady games in the industry. He didn't care if it meant losing checks or getting blackballed. Katt didn't call out Queen Latifah directly, but he threw out enough hints to get folks talking. In his stand-up sets and interviews, he kept dropping little bombs about big-name stars who stayed protected by the machine because they stayed quiet and played the game. And for a lot of people watching, it felt like he was throwing shade at stars exactly like Queen Latifah. Folks who kept it safe to keep that sweet industry protection and all those fat checks rolling in. Katt talked big about royalty in the industry and how some of these so-called kings and queens wear invisible crowns. They look like they run the show, but behind the scenes, they just part of a huge cover-up machine. While Queen Latifah was out here shining up her image, snatching up big Hollywood deals and turning into a household name, Katt was catching heat left and right for speaking his mind. He never held back. He wasn't scared to call folks out or break down how Hollywood picks favorites, especially when you refuse to play by their twisted rules. There's this quote that floats around online. Just because they rock a crown, don't mean they ain't part of the royal cover-up. But real talk, there's no real proof Katt ever said that. It ain't in his stand-up or any interviews. But even if he didn't say those exact words, the whole vibe matches what Katt been screaming for years. Just 'cause somebody gets praised like a hero don't mean they're not helping keep the dirt buried deep. In one interview, Katt really dropped a bomb that stuck with folks. Some of the biggest queens in this game, the ones they tell you to worship, they ain't just protecting the industry. They helping run it. That hit different, especially once lawsuits and crazy accusations started coming out against big names like Diddy and more. Katt had been trying to wake people up, warning us how power really moves in the industry and how some of the most beloved stars are way deeper in the game than fans want to believe. Queen Latifah was never charged with any crime, never caught up legally, but fans started peeping that she always kept quiet when the heat was on. She never said a word about the big scandals tied to Diddy or Clive Davis, even though she worked with them heavy in the past. That silence started looking real funny, less like professionalism and more like she was shielding folks. Katt kept throwing out those tough questions, even if he didn't point the finger straight at Latifah. Why do some stars never get asked about the dirt? Why do they stay safe no matter how crazy things get? And why do they never stand up or speak out when the truth starts coming out? To Katt, that silence wasn't just someone minding their business. Nah, that silence was part of the big problem. And the same hush-hush vibe Katt warned us about? It popped up again, loud and clear, right here in Queen Latifah's story, right there in front of millions of fans. Queen Latifah took the stage for a big tribute at the 2023 BET Awards. The crowd went wild, giving her all the love. It was a major moment, a big celebration of her legacy, honoring a woman who had been breaking barriers in hip-hop and Hollywood for years. The energy on stage was electric, but while that applause was shaking the building, something real sneaky was brewing behind the scenes. Word from insiders? Bet execs were sweating that year. They were catching major heat for ignoring, using, or straight-up blackballing black artists, especially after Jaguar Wright's explosive interviews started dragging the industry's skeletons out the closet. But instead of facing the criticism head-on, BET decided to play it safe and push that respectable image even harder. And who better to sell that calm, polished message than Queen Latifah? She was the golden child, safe, loved, and seen as untouchable. But some sharp-eyed viewers caught what was missing from that show. There was no mention of the fearless female artists who spoke their minds. No love shown to folks like Jaguar Wright. No shine for those brave enough to call out the machine, even if it cost them everything. The whole show felt controlled, like it was scrubbed clean and carefully staged. Exactly what folks had been saying about Queen Latifah, polished, intentional, and sanitized to keep the powerful people smiling. In the weeks after the show, bloggers started digging deep and stirring the pot. Some even claimed Queen Latifah had a hand in revising the list of who got honored on that stage. Certain names were apparently chopped off on purpose to avoid drama and keep the big bosses happy. Jaguar Wright's name kept popping up. Not because she needed a tribute, but because the network allegedly didn't want her anywhere near that spotlight. They didn't want her energy, her truth, or her messy stories crashing their party. And Queen Latifah? She kept her mouth zipped tight. That silence wasn't just staying neutral. It was about protecting the industry machine, protecting her shiny brand, and looking out for the same gatekeepers who kept her career smooth sailing all these decades. The divide in this game wasn't just about who was famous. It ran way deeper. It was about values. Artists like Katt Williams and Jaguar Wright came loud, raw, and unfiltered. They didn't care about stepping on toes. They spoke their truth, even if it meant losing gigs, missing out on checks, or getting their names dragged in the dirt. Meanwhile, Queen Latifah was on a whole different wave. She built her empire on keeping it smooth and pretty, hosting, producing, smiling big for the cameras, and making damn sure the Latifah brand never stepped on the wrong toes. But in playing that careful game, she ended up building a quiet wall between herself and the culture she once helped shape from the ground up. There was a time when Queen Latifah was the loud rebel queen, rapping about unity, taking shots at misogyny, and demanding respect for Black women in music. Fast forward to 2023, and folks started asking, did she really become the same machine she once stood up against? Katt Williams for sure thought so. What Katt had been hinting at in his jokes and rants for years was finally playing out live on big award stages. The revolution got swapped out for glitzy pageants. The real truth-tellers got pushed out the way, and the ones who kept winning were the ones who knew exactly when to stay quiet and keep their heads down. When those stage lights faded at the BET Awards, the applause roared loud as ever. But behind that velvet curtain, there was something brewing. A slow-burn reckoning that Queen Latifah had dodged for decades but couldn't hide from forever. Katt didn't drop her name just to stir up drama or chase clout. He was seeing something deeper, something way more dangerous, and the world is only now waking up to it. For years, Katt had been dropping those sneaky comments, wild warning shots, and slick jabs. Folks laughed it off, thinking he was just talking crazy. But looking back now, he was laying out a map of Hollywood's secret alliances, a blueprint of who gets protected, who stays silent, and who gets thrown under the bus. And guess who was sitting smack in the middle of that map? Queen Latifah. But one thing's always been true. Queen Latifah moves in silence, different from everybody else. She plays her cards close, protects her empire, and stays 10 steps ahead, no matter what storms are brewing around her. She's been killing it in music, movies, and TV for decades, and she's always done it with that smooth, unbothered swag. Folks respect her heavy. She's got that vibe like she knows exactly how to hold it down no matter how wild the room gets. She ain't the type to be loud or messy. She's calm, steady, and always got that cool energy. But staying tight with someone like Diddy? That's a whole different level of tricky. You gotta guard your name, protect your brand, and still show love as a friend. That's not something just anybody can handle. People close to the game say Queen Latifah mastered that tightrope walk. She knew how to ride with Diddy without letting any of his wild storms crash into her world. That's why she always kept it on the low. She didn't post up their friendship for the cameras, didn't flex it on the gram, didn't do no interviews bragging about it. She kept it sealed up because she had her own empire to protect. Her reputation wasn't just for show. She built that brick by brick, and she wasn't about to let anyone tear it down. In Hollywood, once they throw dirt on your name, it's almost impossible to wash it off. Now let's keep it real. Even with all this talk, there's no solid proof Queen Latifah did anything shady. But the fact that folks even asking these deep questions, that just shows how close her world and Diddy's really were. She always came across so calm, so in control. But that don't mean she didn't have her own battles. She's been dodging rumors about her personal life forever. People always wanted to dig into her private world, but she played it smart and kept her cards close to her chest. Then, at 54, she finally let a few truths slip. Stuff fans had been whispering about for years. But she didn't just blurt it out randomly. She waited for the perfect moment, dropped it on her own terms. That careful, calculated style, It shows exactly why her friendship with Diddy was always so hush-hush. Queen Latifah likes to control her own narrative. She ain't gonna let no tabloid or blogger tell her story for her. When the news broke about Diddy's legal chaos, the whole internet lost its mind. Everyone had a hot take, and one name kept popping up over and over: Queen Latifah. People weren't straight up blaming her or calling her out for crimes. Nah, but they wanted answers. They wanted to know what she knew, how deep she was in it, and why she kept so quiet while the world was going up in flames. Why did she keep riding with him? What did she really know? And why wasn't she speaking up while the whole world was watching? Now a lot of fans are starting to see Queen Latifah through a whole different lens. For years, she was that symbol of strength, class, and untouchable energy. But now, folks are peeping deeper, questioning every move. Was she just showing loyalty like a real one? Or did she witness things and choose to keep her mouth shut to protect her image and her empire? The crazy part? We might never get the full story, but that ain't stopping the questions from flying. Her bond with Diddy proves just how twisted and complicated the game in Hollywood really is. It ain't just about chilling with somebody famous. It's a dance of trust, power moves, and knowing exactly when to speak up and when to zip it tight. And sometimes, that silence screams way louder than any words ever could. So yeah, that's the wild ride for today. Thanks for locking in and watching till the end. Stay sharp out here and keep your eyes open, 'cause Hollywood never stops showing us new masks. See y'all next time.